Hi guys. So I'm married today. Today is a crazy day for me, but I really wanted to take a moment to talk to you about this dancing with our shadow. Okay. So I wanted to take a different spin on the tale of Narcissus, right? The Greek god, the beautiful Greek god. So I want to give you a different spin because a lot of people have not understood what the myth actually means, I think. They can guess at it, but I don't think they've understood. And so it's really poignant if we can take a moment to look back at Greek mythology and actually see what it was trying to tell you. Because if the Bible is a myth, so are Greek myths, and they're poignant, though. There's a meaning behind the story, right? And so if you know the story of Narcissus, basically what it is he was this beautiful, beautiful young man who was gorgeous, right? Just gorgeous. And everywhere he walked, he just couldn't find someone that was equivalently beautiful. So he left a trail of broken hearts, behind, both men and women. They just, they he just kind of got tired of it, he just couldn't find anything so beautiful, right? And then the story goes that his mother goes to see a seer, and the seer says, listen, your son is going to have this long life so long as he doesn't know who he is. And that's a very trick question, because then the story becomes this, and this is why it's so important. So the young man starts walking, and he suddenly notices his reflection in a pool of water. And he realizes that he's finally fallen in love with himself. Like he's finally found something equivalently as beautiful as he is. And so he goes down and he really wants to kiss his reflection. Like he's so enamored in this moment that he tries to kiss his reflection, and all he ends up kissing is ripples in the water. Not himself, but the ripples in the water, okay? And so he stares endlessly at his reflection, wastes away, and dies, just like the seer said he would, okay? Now, the reason this is so freaking important is because you all know that when I do one-on-one sessions with you, I see 3D images in order to see how you guys are stuck inside a 3D box. So we could be talking, you can be in Australia, and I see across the spectrum in my head appears an image, and there you are, inside a little 3D box, in the light, playing with your shadow, totally confused about what's going on. Okay? Especially because now you know the law. You know you're one with it. You know you're creating it, right? And you don't know how to stop creating things in certain ways, right? So the reason this story is so freaking important is the person that you have decided is real outside of you. If you have not understood that you are dancing with your shadow, you are no different than the Greek god who wastes away romancing its shadow without understanding the correct order of operations. Okay? So now, let's talk about that for a second. All right? Remember, you are the light projector at all times, right? And what you see is your reflection. So then the correct order of operations is very freaking simple. You are told God first. Who is God? You. So all your decisions first come to you this way. Okay? You first. Should you do what Narcissus did, okay, and you put more attention into the shadow, you are wasting your life force on it. All of this energy goes out there to feed it. Feed the thing you're giving life to, right? Feed it, feed it, feed it, feed it, feed it, okay? So as you do that, you are no different from the guy that keeps staring at his reflection, or the girl that keeps staring at his reflection and have not recognized themselves within the mirror. Okay? So the imbalance then occurs because, remember, the shadow serves the light, not the other way around. But if you're too busy feeding that shadow, now who is subject to the shadow and who is out of balance? Do you see? And that's not to say that when you encounter someone that knocks you off your ass, like truly, and that's what most people are doing here, right? With SPs. If you encounter someone like that, right? You have just fell in love with your reflection. And whether or not you become this Greek god and his tragic story is up to you. Because the order of operations is you first and then the reflection. Now think about it this way, okay? If you are feeding this energy, you must take care of your energy first because it is what's maintaining your illusion. Okay, so now as long as you do this first, everything is in balance because the next order of operations is now I treat my shadow as if how I want to be treated. So basically, I know I'm romancing myself at all times. How do I want to be treated? Because this is your reflection. This is what you've fallen in love with, but it is second, not first. Because as the light source, you hold it up. You're giving it life. But in order for it to give you life, you must find the point of origin from which you are staring at yourself in order for the mirror to give it back to you. Okay? But if all that you do is forget that you even exist and put this person first and all of their needs first, now you're subject to their whim. Now the little light follows the shadow around and the shadow does whatever it wants, and the little light who is staring at itself has no idea that it is in a dance with the shadow and the shadow is draining its life force. That's what the story means. And I need you guys to understand now why is this so important? Well, if you remember that outside of you is a universal mirror, right? You're always looking backwards. And so now what appears to be leaving you is coming towards you, and what appears to be going towards you is actually leaving you. You must understand the difference. You must understand the difference. Or I will get a bunch of phone calls and you'll call me and you'll say, Cindy, I don't know what's happening. I don't know why he's behaving this way. I thought I had this right. I got in the right mind frame. I really did. Okay. You got in the right mind frame until when? Until you forgot you were looking at your mirror? Until you forgot that you were feeding the shadow? And see, here's the thing. The shadow must serve the light. So the sooner you become the light and stop playing in the shadows, you can have a happy life. Okay? Now, proof of this is the minute you turn around. I would like for you guys to do this exercise for shits, kicks, and giggles anytime you forget. I would like for you to look behind you and watch your shadow follow you. You need to imprint this image in your head so that you are now in the correct order of operations. Otherwise, it's Narcissus all over again. You feed that more than you feed your needs. And this is the problem. That is not to say that you don't love another human being, but the order is the most important thing. When I was a child, I'm only 5 years old, my mom would say, listen, listen, and listen. Good. When it comes to love, first comes me, then comes me, then comes me. And I looked at her and I said, Mom, that sounds a little selfish, doesn't it? you know? She said, no, 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 no. She understood this, okay? No, it's not, okay? Because if you uphold the light, it must follow you. You feed it. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot. You cannot rob Peter to pay Paul. You cannot give this energy, let me give you all I've got. Please take it. Oh, I don't care if I'm dying. That makes no sense. It's out of whack. It's out of order. Okay? But if this is a giving universe and you understand that you're the life force, you take care of yourself first, and then the excess is more than enough. Do you know why? Because the excess is God, who is already love. It's already love. It's more than enough. You're going to join the universal force, and it's going to spill out and extend, and you have more than enough love to give. But if you deplete your life force to hold somebody else up, then let me tell you something. Wrong order of operations, and you are no different than this Greek god. This myth is more important than anyone has ever thought about, because if that is your order of operations, you will always feel out of control, and you will always wonder why someone is behaving this way. At this stage, if you have heard me, if you've really heard what I have to say, you would not ask me, why does someone behave this way? If it is your mirror, it is behaving this way because this is how you chose to define the next moment that has not occurred. You and only you are responsible. Now, the bright side is you don't have to hold that up for longer than 30 seconds if you understand where you're going with it. But if you let it suck you in, then you just depleted your life force. You're playing in the shadows, forgetting who the hell is boss. Because we all serve God. We all serve light. We all do it. I bow down to the light. I recognize my maker. Not born of woman. We all do it. No matter how conscious or unconscious we are, we serve the light. Okay? Perfect example of this is the color workshop. I thought it was a great idea. Here I'm thinking it's only my idea. No, this is exactly the thought that someone's having in California. So on the other side of the coast, I heard the call and I said, yes, I would like to do that. And then all of you said, yeah, that's a great idea. Let's do that. Do you understand how connected we are? So then the importance is remember your order. First you, then you, then you. Once that cup overflows, it's more than enough for everyone. It's more than enough. But if you rob Peter to pay Paul, what ends up happening, now your life force is getting dragged by a shadow, and you follow it around like a little puppy dog. Oh, please, please, I need you not to leave me. Please don't leave me. And you sound like this. Do you know how of a turnoff that is to your shadow? If every single action you do, you are motivated by the fact that you're afraid that you are going to lose someone, you're not even loving them. Fear and love do not coincide. They do not coincide. They are not one and the same thing. You have one or the other. And if you're afraid, you are not in love. You're obsessed with your shadow. But if you're not afraid because you recognize, oh, this is me. This is my reflection. I love this reflection more than anything else in the world because it is me. It always has been. It's my memories on display. There's nothing else. It may even be my extreme opposite of all opposites. That's great if it is, because there's no such thing as an opposite. You are one. It's what you're there for. You are here on this earth to discover how to love yourself and yourself alone. You are told, I am a jealous God. That doesn't mean jealous like in human terms. It means if you give your life force to your shadow, you deplete yourself. I'll take that, no problem. Jealous. When all you had to do was turn around, realize you're its maker, and watch it follow you. Why? Because you're motivated by divine love. You're motivated by the only force in the universe that controls everything on earth. You would never even harm your reflection because, hello, karmically, if you yell at that thing, you're yelling at yourself. You must learn to have peace with everything you are, including what you see outside. But you must understand there are no mysteries when you understand who you are. There are no mysteries. You animate everything first. How you're thinking is what occurs. Is it the end of the world? No. Did it already happen? Sure. Can it change? Instantly. If you hear what I'm saying. If you hear what I'm saying. Because our only job is to love like God does. And fear isn't part of the equation. What fear does is not only do you have now depleted your energy as you follow your shadow, you are leaving your source of perception. See, you think you're walking towards something, okay? But as you walk towards it, if you were to do this experiment with me, you'll see, as you walk closer to the wall, your shadow gets bigger. Not the light. Your shadow gets bigger. Do you understand now how a narcissist could be made? It is so used to taking your life force that it has no conscious control, and then it becomes something abusive. It becomes bigger than you, but it is something that you gave it life to. That's the giant you made. When all you had to do was take it back, turn around, let me focus on me. What do I want? How do I want to be treated? What's going on with me? Not, let me not cause waves because I don't want to lose him. Or I don't want to bring this up because he might not like what I have to say. Who the fuck is he? Or she? Nothing exists outside of you. You must, at all costs, bring your whole universal conception and make it one. All of it. Love it like you love yourself, yes, but first know who you are and know all of you, and then serve it with the most utmost respect and love and gentleness and caring. But see, here's the difference. When you have given your life force first, you are not dependent on this person's reaction to determine how you feel. And many of you do this out of order, and that's exactly what you do. The minute he says something you don't like, which is actually doing you a favor because they're telling you what's on the wrong side. You're looking out there. And he's standing, depending if you're afraid, he's standing right at the point where you're afraid, animating your fears, he or she, so you can see your thoughts, so you know what thought bullets to dodge. But if you take offense to what they're saying, if you don't understand the thought bullets that are being thrown at you and saying, duck, because these are not accurate thoughts. These are thoughts made in fear. They're called no things, nothing, for a reason. It's behind you. You must give it life. You must animate it. But if that's what you're doing, then if you do not duck that thought and you receive it in your body, you just entered your shadow's world. And now, guess who feels as if the shadow is in control? I'm on a live, babe. Do you see the difference? Do you see the difference? If you can remember your oneness, then you act in accordance to the highest good for everyone. If you remember your oneness, you are automatically God. Automatically, because you can't separate yourself, right? And automatically, without even trying, you see the man or the woman behind you, in front of you, or wherever you want to call it, as God as well. You automatically lift them up. They receive the universal message. They want to hear it because they want to be seen in the highest light. They don't want to be standing in your afraid, in your fear, in your not love. They want to be lifted up just as much as you do, right? So now you automatically lift this man or woman and lift them up to the blessings that are hidden between you two, when you guys don't see opposites, when you guys realize that you are one person, you now have universal dominion and abilities to bless the human being that you're looking at outside. You have unlimited power to make shit fall out of the sky and give it to them. They need nothing ever. You don't either. Okay? I mean this sincerely. I miss John with all my heart, but if I wanted to, all I had to do is peep in and see him on the lake. All I had to do, okay? That's all I had to do. I was fully entertained this week. I went out with friends, various groups. I never once dropped my mood because he wasn't here. Did I miss him? Sure. But we're always one. We're never not one. If I eat something, it affects him. In that type of oneness, there isn't a force in the universe that can break that bond, because you have understood yourself. You'll finally fall in love with who you are. And then you understand the reflection, which is a very different way to live. Okay? But if you don't, what ends up happening, in case you haven't seen this yet, have you ever seen a couple that one of them seems to be aging and the other one is not? As if you can almost see their life force being drained psychically like a vampire. And it's like one of them's left with nothing, ends up with cancer or depleted, complete life force, skin and bones, wrinkles, nothing left to give because they have no more to give, because they give too much to the shadow. You've seen this before. You've seen it. Because in the light, what is happening behind the shadows is your life force is being sucked out of you because you're feeding it to the mirror more than you're giving it to yourself. Do you understand the difference? That does not mean that you don't love your shadow. Of course you love your shadow, but you must know you're its maker first. If it is outside of your eyes, you are its maker. Take responsibility for that. But if you act as if you can lose something, as if you're going to lose someone, then you are on the wrong side of the equation, giving all that energy to someone else. And what's going to happen, you're going to call me and you're both going to say this, right? You're going to say, hey, Sin, I have no idea why this is happening. Why is this happening? Why is it the opposite? Because that's what you thought when you looked at your shadow the wrong way. When you didn't appreciate him or her standing on the other side of your fears, trying to tell you what thought bullets to dodge. Remember, to God, what you call living is death. It's death. It's not living. It's death. You get to live as you believe, trapped in an eternal prison from which you've decided when you're going to get out, but it is death. You've frozen a moment so you can exist in it. Although every moment exists, all eternity exists, you have all of eternity. The eternal mind isn't meant to be in cage. It doesn't exist in a box. It doesn't like to be in a box. It freaking hates the box. Hello? I don't like boxes. I don't like boxes. You guys don't either. You're the eternal mind, okay? But we created this system so that we can make 3D experiences that we enjoy, okay? And so if you understand everything is you, how are you going to judge this next person, this next moment? What are you going to say? Do you have to interact every single time? No, you don't. But you can see them in the highest light because it's you. It's you. It's your shadow. I told you the design. You sit smack dab in the middle with your imaginary conception in the whole light that is God. Therefore, everything that you see outside of your eyes is your shadow that you have deemed a no thing, not allowed in the kingdom of the things you wish to experience, the whole reason you were born. Your ideal life, the dreams that have sat in your freaking heart forever, the ones that you've settled and said are not real anymore, the ones you said are impossible because the society says you can't do this, then it must remain locked out as a no thing outside, a nothing. Now, how do you control the nothing? You do it by remembering you're the source, you're its maker. And if you don't make peace with your shadow, then what you experience is a varying degree of quality of life. A varying degree, meaning that the only reason people exist in varying degrees of social status is that's where they've decided they've settled on. Because there ain't one person on this earth that isn't already mega wealthy without any knowledge that they've always had this in them. And your shadow is your only obstacle. But if you cannot love that, then you're blocking the whole light, aren't you? You're standing in the way, deciding that the shadow is the no thing can have your life force. Instead of making it serve you, instead of being kind to it, instead of, accepting your experience, because your experience is what's on display, and the things that you've decided are no things are experiences that do not align with the desired state. But you are told, remove the splinter from your eye. That splinter is your human conception and your experiences. And the things that are outside of you are the things that you've decided are no things. Okay? You're also surrounded by yes things. So what is happening is, depending on how well you have understood that your shadow is before you, you experience varying degrees of yes and no things. Okay? But these shadows and the quality of how much light you allow in your life is depending on you. Only you. No one else. Is depending on remembering who its maker is. Is depending on remembering to love it, but always take care of yourself first. If you are in the habit of putting everybody else's needs before your own, then that is probably the reason you're so tired, so drained, and so disappointed with the world. Okay? It's not in balance. It's not in balance. So then, everyone who does this is technically narcissists. The Greek god who has forgotten it is the light. You see how well this Greek myth serves us. No one ever describes this myth this way. No one ever does that. If you Google the internet, everyone will give you their opinion of what they think this myth meant, not understanding the actual teachings in the light. Meaning that at some point in time, we all encounter our reflection. We all encounter that one person that suddenly nothing else matters because they're the only one in the room. You could be in a crowd of 10 million. You only see one person. That type of love, I get it. So then you guys meet and you guys enter the yes world. The yes world. Oh, it's so perfect. It's in balance. I love you. You love me. Ah, yes. Okay? The minute you forget and you start feeding that shadow more, now you're depleting your life force. Okay? Now the shadow gets bigger than you. And you see that fucker grow. And it gets big. All right? And this is your relationship, and suddenly you feel tiny, insignificant, and this motherfucker gets the right, the shadow, this person, excuse my language, right? Now has the ability to become a narcissist, to cheat on you, to call you names, to, your worst fears just came to life. Okay? And even in this moment, this shadow is serving you. Because although it's bigger, you're too far from the light of your understanding, so it must warn you what is in your field. So even when they say the most horrible things in the world to you, they're telling you, hey, that's not the truth of who you are. That's what you're thinking unconsciously, and it's pissing you off. And it should, because if you're not paying attention to your emotional energy, then, hello, you just entered chaos. And you get to die there. You get to live there. You get to live there. Remember, it's backwards. I always tell you guys, I'm already dead. I'm imaginary. I only use this body to be a megaphone. I don't even actually exist. Totally, totally imaginary. Just like everybody else. But you have to understand this dynamic. And you can never, ever say to me again, I don't know why this is happening this way, Cindy. I don't know what happened. What do you mean you don't know what happened? Isn't that how you thought it was in the beginning? So that's what it's exactly was the next moment? It's not a mystery if you understand that what you're seeing outside of you is exactly how you judged it. So you can see yourself. Your mirror. And so that is useful information if you are non-dual, but if you are not and you judge it, you just found a bunch of snakes in the grass. Here you thought you were walking in Eden, and there's a bunch of snakes in the grass. Why? Because we froze the moment, we didn't understand it, and we entered a world with a bunch of snakes in the grass. We called them snakes in the grass. I can bring this and make this lecture biblical if you'd like. Okay? Adam, mankind, was specifically told by God that Adam could name anything, and he proceeded to identify every object. This is an eternal process, you guys. You are still Adam, mankind, who has the ability to make no things into yes things and name them into existence. This has not changed. Ever. When you really, truly understand the book that is your universal dominion, your whole life changes because you suddenly understood. That's what that means? This isn't a myth about 2000 something or the beginning of time creation bullshit. No, this is the story of universal dominion. This is how you act in accordance to the love that you're supposed to be, because once you know who you are, you cannot help but love everything that is outside of you and inside of you. And that's what we're doing, you guys. That's what we're doing. So the answer to every SP, how do I get every SP back that I've ever wanted, or how do I get this, or how do I get that? The answer is you get out of your own way and you remember that your desire was already granted, and you start turning around and you face your light. Because the only thing that is true about the no thing is that it's waiting for you to name it and turn it into a yes thing. But if you're struggling right now with a relationship, if you're trying to get someone back, or you don't understand why he's behaving a certain way, then you've forgotten who its maker is. You move instantly in time to all of your desires. It's so instant now, it's not even funny. It's so instant now, it's not even funny. If you are not having instant change, it is because you're not remembering who you are. There are people that talk to me that are having trouble because it's so instant that they have to remind themselves not to be afraid, because they can step into their instant just as quickly. Instant fear. Okay? It's so instant, it's ridiculous at this point. The only way to have this instant is to stop separating yourself from the universe and recognize the whole universe is you. Where I go, the universe goes. Where I go, the universe goes. Where I go, the other individual goes. So, because it's my shadow. Okay? If I understand this, then I walk in the world happy, happy, happy. Every person I see, I love. It's my shadow. If they treat me bad, it's okay. I didn't know what I was doing back then either. It's my shadow. You see? And so with this piece, you end up doing this dance with your shadow where you're like almost having fun, right? You're almost having fun with your playing with yourself on the wall just to see what happens next, okay? That's your dancing Shiva. See how universal I can get with you? That's your dancing Shiva. So that means that these Hindu images, that if we think they're separate from us and we don't understand what they're actually doing, they actually describe what is true in the light. And so it seems so impossible to us on earth that these images, we've never understood them. But a man dancing in eternal time and having a good time, that's exactly what it's like when you understand that everything is your shadow. So your power is in knowing you are the universe. You are the universe. You don't have an issue with a man again. You don't have an issue with anything again. You almost laugh. It's almost comical if someone starts behaving funny. You're like, I used to do that. You know? And there are going to be times when you encounter someone that doesn't remind you of yourself at all. Like there's no way, okay? This is the most important thing. This is the most important thing. When you encounter this thing and you're like, no way in hell is that me? Like, no. This shadow was made out of every experience you've ever hated. Okay? So it's like the combination of things that you either felt victimized before, or your grandmother felt victimized before, or your mother felt victimized before, or your daughter went through something However the experience is, this being represents something that you've absolutely can't accept as you, because they creepy crawly you in feeling, because they just brushed against every incarnation that ever felt victimized by this specific type of person or ideal or experience. Okay? If you encounter this is okay. This is your biggest test. See them in a better light. You don't have to interact. You don't have to do anything. You just see them in a better light and you have compassion. Because if someone had to exist, I really want you to think about this. If someone had to exist as everything that you didn't like about the world and had to make that her experience just to appear before you to save you, so you can know how to redeem your shadow, okay? Then when you encounter this type of obstacle, you have just met your ultimate match. On the other side of your compassion lies everything you've ever dreamed of. If you react, if you fail to pass this test, this person will appear in your life over and over again, okay? However, it'll be a new face. And it gets bigger, and it gets bigger, and it gets bigger. So it's important. It's important not to forget you're its maker too. You're its maker too. Everything is a gift. Everything is a gift. Okay? So this being, if you ever encounter this, and this is not easy, this being, I want you to keep this image in mind, is God asleep. You made it. And God agreed to play the role. It had to exist. And now God is waiting for you to rescue it from your self-conception. Keep that image in mind, because you know that whenever you needed something, when you were backed up against the wall, when you had no one else but God, God came through. So in the shadow, it is your turn to be ride or die. Don't forget. Don't forget. Because when you see no opposite, when you really see yourself everywhere in the universe, your template is complete. You've just assumed your place in eternity, and with perfect peace, you now have universal dominion. And you're received with love. Why? Because you never need anything again. Whatever you want to just... Okay? It's so good that you can talk people and their whole world opens up. It's that kind of juice, you guys. So, I want to remind you guys of this. It really, really makes the difference between being what people call woke and asleep. Because at this point, everybody is awake. They just have no idea what they're looking at. But these are facts, you guys. These are facts. You want universal dominion? You might as well make peace with who you are. That's the shortcut. Because you won't, if you have peace over everything, and I mean everything. Like, if someone asked me about my dad and they're like, you know, that I heard that was a real painful thing for you as a child. Yeah. And yet it was a universal experience that a lot of people went through, and now I have peace over it, and now I can serve anybody who needs that kind of peace. Look how calm I am about it. Like, I don't even, Do you see me crying about this kind of stuff? No. If I'm going to cry because God did something in my life. I can't. The past, it doesn't even exist anymore. I'm so unfettered. I'm so free. You know? But you have to remember this, because I'm telling you, that story is more valid than you think. I can even see you guys going through that, where you guys do this little dance. It's not necessary. It's not necessary. You got to remember who you are. Okay? So if I recreated this moment, it was to tell you guys this. You always know what someone is thinking, because how you judge them is how they're made. You're never in a 3D situation that you cannot get out of. And if you've stuck yourself in a pattern, it's because you've forgotten that creation is an eternal process that is always continuing, and that you are standing, look at the past, in the wrong direction. You must make the new moment. Otherwise, your brain doesn't know to create something new. It just runs on repeat. So that you can figure out, oh, I'm supposed to create the next moment. Oh, whoops. You have to remember this. Otherwise, it'll feel like you're stuck in a set of patterns. It'll be new faces, different wars with new faces, but maybe it's the same war, new faces. Is that what I'm trying to say? You see? You must take control. Every moment is unwritten, and you must know the difference between your shadow and yourself and who its maker is. It's that simple. I mean, I wish I could draw. I wish I had graphics. I wish I can show you the pictures that I'm seeing. I think in 3-dimensional space. I can totally see these little images in my head. Every session I have with you is now turning into some huge psychic impression where I just see into your world. I didn't even know I could do that, but that's what's happening. It's like it's that I know that I'm on the other side of the light now. And I need you to remember this. Whatever you said is impossible of your darkness is possible in the light. The extreme opposite is true. So until you remember this, then you're going to live in limitations. But if you remember, oh, anything's possible in the light, then it is. Okay? So that's our little lecture. I have a really crazy day today. I'm sorry. Monday, I'm going to be spending doing the workshop in the colors. So far, I successfully saw 2 people. I just gave them their initial reading of their main color, and they felt that it was accurate. I described their personality to a T. And so Monday, I'm really excited because the person whose idea it was, I'm going to read her next. But this workshop, I'm going to decide how it goes next. I haven't decided if it's going to be 2 or 3 days. There are 98 questions that I'm going to come up with. A few questions for each color, okay? At least. And so the first time we run through this, I want you not to think about the answer, just answer it, okay? And then once we've gotten through the first round, then we're going to decide, anything that we're going to narrow it down and have you think about the answers one more time, and then I'll read your colors. Okay? But I'm doing this blindfolded, literally blindfolded. Here. Blindfolded. Okay? And so you'll tell me if I can see your colors accurately this way. It'll be good. It's good exercise. And other than that, I want you to really, really think about what I said, because there's power in what I said. You do not have to die there wondering what happens next if you're the one animating everything to begin with in the first place. You are literally its maker. Okay? All right, you guys, I do have to run. I have errands, and then I have dinner, and then I have a standing appointment at 10 o'clock, and so I'm not sure when I'm coming up for air, but I will talk to you guys on Tuesday, And otherwise, I'll see you soon. Think about what I said. This is a really important lecture because this ends all torture. This ends all torture when it comes to relationships. You have to recognize yourself. There is no such thing as an opposite nature. Okay? An opposite nature will make an opposite image look in reverse because you've declared it to be your opposite, but it is not your opposite. You are one soul looking at yourself from all angles. Every single body is you. You. If you see it with your eyes, you specifically can see something out of your eyes, that is your shadow body on display that you are learning how to love. Please remember this. Okay? Everybody has their own version of what they see. Everyone has their individualized shadow body. If you reconcile this shadow body 100% because you know it is you, you now unify yourself. You remove yourself as your obstacle and you get to create the ideal world from which you were born to have. And in that moment, you will understand who God is in your life. It's you. But you will know with such force that you will never question anything ever, 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 ever again. You'll go like this, and if you want, you'll make it rain. Or you'll make it stop raining because you need sunshine today. All right? Someone says, I need something, business is about to go downhill. Okay? And you'll say, fuck that, not in my household. Instant protection. Instant protection. That's the kind of juice you all have. I'm not special. I don't even exist here. I'm just this imaginary being that has figured out the puzzle. If you do this, the life of your dreams is on the other side. There are no opposites. It is one whole body. Love this. Love this above all others. Love you guys. Think about it. Think about what I said, because this truly ends this whole SP journey in an instant. In an instant. And they really do behave so beautifully, with so much love. Why? Because you're not afraid anymore. So you've become love, so they must be love. Mirror reflection. Okay? Try to let this stuff sink in. Try to let this stuff sink in, because if you do, you have been given the universal dominion that you were told you had from the beginning. And it's a good place to exist. As a reminder, you guys, I don't know if you've reached out to Dennis on our team. He is an excellent, excellent, excellent resource for truth. Don't forget to reach out to him if you haven't. Please check out Chase's program as well if you still are having trouble reconciling shadows. Okay? Do that. Otherwise, our color shop is going to be soon. I'm excited. And let's see what else happens. But otherwise, I've got some errands to do, so I got to get out of here. I really love you. Bye-bye.